Hello everybody and welcome to my video tutorial on how I record my videos. I will be showing you guys which codec I use and which program I use, which is Dxtory. Before we begin, I'm going to show you guys how to download a lossless video codec that will enable you to record in HD. I do warn you though that it does take up quite a bit of space when you are recording. So, as I will put this link in the comments below, you will be going to the Lagarith Lossless Video Codec webpage and either installing the installer, the source code, or the manual installation. I opted for the manual installation, but honestly, this is up to you. After you have downloaded the codec, I open up Dxtory. And this particular video guide will only cover Dxtory. If you guys are using Fraps or any other program, I believe that there is a way to use the lossless Lagarith video codec in those programs, but once again, this will be covering just Dxtory. So now that Dxtory is open, we will go ahead and go through each and every one of these tabs. For the first two, you do absolutely nothing. The default settings that pop up when Dxtory opens are fine. Now you're going to go to your folder settings. And this is relatively important if you are new to Dxtory. What this basically means is that you will be setting which folder you will be recording to. Basically, the faster the disk, like the faster the disk speed is, the better, as you will be able to record at a faster frame rate. So let's go ahead and pretend like we never had any disks available. So we're going to add our disk, in which case we will be using disk D, which is what I used to record. And I will be selecting recording raw, and you can select your own folders. I really recommend to use this format. It keeps it really easy. You just have a recording raw, a recording finish after you process your video, and then after you process your video and convert it to MPEG format, which compresses it for YouTube, I have another folder. Don't really worry about that for now. After you set your folder in this particular program, you click on the benchmark speed over here and you hit run. And this will basically show you how fast your disk is. The higher the better. Of course, because I'm recording right now directly onto this particular disk, I'm getting a lower rate of megabytes per second. Normally it hovers around the 120 mark, so don't let that fool you. The higher, once again, the speed, the better the frame rate will be in your video. So let's go to the hotkey screen. Now this really is just your user preference. Basically, whenever I press F12 in my videos, I start to record. I need to change that though, because as you guys probably realize, Steam also takes a screenshot when I press F12. So I will eventually change this, just not in this video. And for the most important part of the tutorial, this is where you select your codec. And at the start, it should be the Dxtory video codec. Do not use this codec. It is absolute garbage. Instead, once you've downloaded the codec and installed it in the Dxtory particular folder, if you, of course, do the installer, you won't have to worry about that. So I recommend the installer for beginner users. After you install the codec, you simply select the Lagarith lossless codec and click on this little caliper thing over here to the right, and ensure that the mode is set to RGB. It should be by default. And after that is selected, we will go ahead and go through all of these different options we have available to us. Of course, the first option and the most important will be frame rate. I normally record in either 25 or 30. It really depends on which video or video game I'm playing. Of course, more demanding video games, such as 60 FPS strategy games, it's very difficult to record at anything more than 30 FPS just because the file size makes it prohibitive. And in addition, YouTube does support 60 FPS, of course, but your file sizes will be so big that it'll take multiple hours to upload. To keep things simple, I usually record in, like I said, either 25 to 30 FPS. Really just play around with your particular recording and see if you can record up to 30 FPS. If you can in your video game, you can definitely increase that to 50 FPS. Now, let's go down to the output. Ensure that file output is selected, of course, and for file format, we will always go with .avi, as this will allow certain video editing programs such as Sony Vegas to operate more efficiently. In addition to that, just make sure all of these option things are unchecked. I mean, these are really optional. You can include your mouse cursor into the game. I don't. It's simply preference. The overlay you're going to want to keep out of the recording, as that shows your FPS. And synchronized video FPS, I believe, just synchronizes your FPS recording with the FPS that you're getting from your video game. I don't generally do this for performance reasons. Ensure all of this is unchecked and make sure it is set to 100%. Now next on Dxtory, this part is important, especially if you're recording commentary like me in your videos. For your first audio setting, I'll go ahead and get rid of these so you guys can kind of see what it is. When you first start off, of course, you will see just one audio stream number. Ensure your audio codec is PCM. It should be by default. And you can really use whatever audio format you like. This affects the quality of your audio recording. I went with the default option to preserve space. So if you're like me and like to record with commentary, you're going to need to hit this plus button over here to add an audio stream. And if you're not, just simply disregard that step rather, and ensure that your first device on the number 1 tab over here for audio stream number, your first audio stream should definitely be your microphone. I'm not really quite sure why, but when Dxtory does record, it places preference to the first set audio stream, and this means that when you open up your eventual recording in Sony Vegas or your video editing program of choice, you will have all of your different sound recordings from your particular video game in separate streams, meaning that your commentary and the video game sounds and the video game music will be on separate streams, which will allow you to edit things more easily. Right, so now that you've selected your microphone for your first stream number, you're going to go to stream number 2 and ensure that it is set to whichever device you are using for your in-game audio. It's really nice to have in-game audio for your commentary. Obviously, it's not necessary, but I certainly like to use it. Quite optionally, you can actually go to push-to-talk hotkey. I do not normally do this, but if you do, I will show you how to use it. You go over here, once again, to the hotkey tab of Dxtory, and simply select a push-to-talk hotkey. I'm not going to use left mouse button. That's ridiculous. So after that's done, I'm going to disable that because, once again, I do not use that. Everything is looking good here. And all of these to the right are simply optional. This, I believe, is for screenshots. If you use Steam screenshots like I do, you will never have to even go to this tab. But like I said, it is optional. And all of this other stuff, once again, is optional. You won't really need to do any of this particular stuff. I hope that this tutorial helped you guys. I believe that I will also be making a Sony Vegas tutorial for this particular recording technique. And if you guys would also like, I will show you how I compress my video files for YouTube, converting these .avi files into MPEG-4 format. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's quite short. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave your comments in the comment box below. And I will see you guys for the next video tutorial. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later.